Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you, and a welcome to this informative session that we have organized with our most respected Swami Lakshmi Narayan ji. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar session. And the topic that Swamiji is going to discuss with us is on stress management. So, welcome, Swamiji, and it's my honor to introduce you as our host and guest speaker from the Vedanta Academy. Swami Lakshmi Narayan ji is a senior disciple of Swami Partha ji, and he organizes public lectures and seminars on various topics that are related to the philosophy of Vedanta. So the session will go like this. For first 30-40 minutes, Swamiji would be sharing his wisdom on the topic. And the next 20 minutes, we have kept it for the question and answer session with the audience. So if you have any questions during the presentation, you may probably park it towards for the end of the presentation once Swamiji completes it. And towards the last 20 minutes, you can probably unmute your mics and go ahead with the questions. During the session, your mic will be on mute. This would be, you can unmute yourself during the Q&A session in the last 20 minutes. So I guess with this, I'll hand this over to Swamiji. Swamiji, this is over to you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Karuna and Vidhi. We can now start the session on stress management. So, stress is helpful for our survival. Our mind and body prepares to fight or flee from the challenge to survive. What do we mean by that? When a stimuli comes to us, our mind and body reacts to that stimuli. Then, depending upon the stimuli, it may be a threatful situation or it may be a comfortable situation. If it's a comfortable situation, I don't feel stress. When do I feel stress? When my comfort zone is challenged. Am I correct? When my comfort zone is challenged, I feel stressed. So when I'm challenged, I have to fight that situation so that I can get back to my comfort zone, or I have to avoid the situation, run away from the situation, and find another comfort zone. Otherwise, I can't survive. So, what happens is, in our system, when the mind reacts to the stimuli, there are certain hormones that secrete in our body. And one such hormone is called as cortisol. Cortisol hormone, when it secretes, what does it do? It gets you ready to fight or flee from the challenge to survive. And then there are other chemicals like adrenaline that pumps in. And then we have to be ready to run or get ready to fight. Only then we will fight the challenge and get to another comfort zone. So therefore, stress is not bad. When does it become bad? When it becomes chronic. When you are constantly in a situation like this all the time, that is bad. But when there is a trigger, you get stressed, and then you get on to action, doing the things to deal with it, you become fine. So that's why they say little stress is better. So they talk about two types of stress. They are called as eustress and distress. Have you heard of this? Anybody? Has anyone heard of this?
No.
Pardon?
No. Distress. I heard the term, but
Distress is what we call as stress. Okay.
But the
Generally,
uterus, I never heard of this term.
eustress means positive stress. Distress means negative stress from a layman's point of view. What do we mean by positive stress? See, if you're feeling very comfortable, right, would you grow? Would you grow?
No.
Pardon? Somebody said something very feeble it was. Would you grow?
No, we won't.
You're feeling very comfortable. छोड़ दो यार, क्यों कुछ करना है? छोड़ दो, ऐसे ही जाने दो. Change मत करो. That is why we resist change. Supposing they have some get together, last minute they say change it. You immediately resist. Why did you do this? Change is something that all of us resist. So when you are put in a situation, in an uncomfortable situation, your mind and body gets ready to fight. You will fight the challenge and grow, start growing. Are you with me? So, for example, Delhi weather, it's extreme hot, extreme cold. So, human beings, what did they do over a period of time? They have come up with air conditioners, heaters, coolers, etc. to deal with the situation. So, when you get an external challenge and that triggers you, when it is positively triggering you, it's called eustress. You get negatively triggered and get mentally disturbed. That is called distress. I'm in distress condition. Means I'm stressed. The situation has overpowered me. Are you getting it? This is actually what happened to Arjuna in the Mahabharata. Arjuna, if you see, was number one in the art of archery. He had won many battles before and brought a lot of wealth to his kingdom, hence he was called as Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya means winner of wealth. So he had a lot of experience, number one in the art of archery, extremely skillful. So he lacked nothing. He had skill, he had experience, he has knowledge in warfare, everything. But he got stressed in a situation where he had to use his skill and experience against his own guru, great grandfather, whom he loves. They're good people. So when he was put in a challenge, in a situation, and the situation was more powerful than his abilities, so he could not deal with it. It brought him distress. Are you with me? Now, what happens is, when you put yourself in constant distress condition all the time, it becomes chronic. It is like soaking your body, your brain, your complete personality in stress chemicals for a long period of time. It's a very dangerous thing. Little bit stress came, you start doing things to deal with it, you settle it, that's fine. But you allow the stress to come and distress you, and because of that, you develop more worries, anxieties, fear, all these kind of various emotions. Then you are constantly, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So I
we
just
can.
got a message saying that I'm signed out. I don't know why. Anyway. So when you constantly allow your personality to be soaked in the stress chemicals, it does a lot of harm to you. This is the problem. So stress is what? Stress is nothing but our reaction at the psychological and physical level to a challenge or stimuli from the outside world. And it is helpful for our survival so that we can get on to fight or avoid. So that stress in the initial stage, which propels you to act and deal with it, it's called eustress, which is good for you. But when you can't deal and it becomes distress, it is negative. And when you continuously soak yourself in such stress chemicals for a long period of time, it is detrimental in many ways. It affects you in many ways. So how does it affect? So what are the effects of stress? If you see in this slide here, stress affects your immunity, right? Now, I can't say that we have gotten over Corona situation. It is still there, but much better now. But when Corona started, we suffered, all of us suffered for almost 2 years. Still suffering, but it's okay, not much. And for dealing with Corona, you need a lot of immunity. But Corona brought uncertainty. People were losing jobs, right? So it brought a lot of uncertainty. When that kind of situation you are put in and you get stressed, to fight Corona, you need immunity, but stress destroys your immunity. Are you getting it? And then another thing that happens is it affects your memory and thinking. You cannot recollect things. You cannot think properly. When you are mentally stressed, you cannot think properly. And a human being is a thinking animal. Our defense mechanism is our thinking ability. If we do not have the thinking ability, we are worse than animals. We are in a very bad shape. We need to have the ability to think and function. But when a person is stressed, he cannot think. And if you don't think properly and act, you cannot be productive and successful. So stress affects your success, productivity, your dynamism, your actions are impoverished. And then stress affects relationships. People stop talking, communicating, relating with people properly. So the relationships go for a toss. And it also affects your sleep. You're not able to go off to sleep. And even if you fall off to sleep, you do not have quality sleep. And that once you start compromising on the sleep, that disturbs you even further. Then it affects your digestive system. You're not able to digest properly. And you are not able to, become strong. Also, it affects your reproductive system. So all these have some of the effects of stress. So it becomes extremely important to learn to manage stress. So, like I said, first we need to know what is stress. We need to understand stress. What is happening in us when a stimuli enters? And it is for our survival. If something comes in and cortisol or adrenaline is not secreting in your body, you will be just there and the challenge will eat you up. See, especially when we are in the jungle, one important thing that is unique to jungle is either you get food or you become food. Isn't it? So when you are in the jungle, if you don't have this chemical secreting in you, another animal will come and finish you. So the moment the chemical comes, you can fight the situation and deal with it. So therefore, stress in that way is good for us. For our good, nature has given stress. But because we do not know how to deal with it, we take it to the level of distress and start soaking ourselves in that condition for long and then get into these kind of affectations. Lack of immunity, memory, thinking, productivity, etc. All this happens. So, what is the cause of stress? If you want to deal anything, you need to know what is the cause of stress. Can you say the cause of stress is external or is it internal? External means world, internal means your own personality. Pardon?
Both.
Pardon?
Most of the time it is
Both.
external, I think.
Most of the time it is both. Okay? Anybody else?
I think it is internal.
Internal.
Yeah.
Okay? What else? So some
The cause
people
could
said
be
external,
external.
some people have said internal. Some people said world, some people say me. I am responsible. Where is the cause? Is it inside me or outside? Now, please understand one thing. Before we establish whether it is external or internal, to say external world, let us understand what is the nature of the world. What is the nature of the world? First thing, world means uncertain. Correct? Uncertainty. Then world is in a constant flux of change. Constantly changing. Morning changes to noon. Noon changes to evening. Evening changes to night. The night changes to morning. In this constant flux of change, a day is maintained. So uncertainty, change, impermanent. Nothing in this universe is permanent. Everything is impermanent. And they have a time frame within which it perishes. Right? So uncertainty, changing, impermanent, perishing. This is the nature of the world. So now my question to you is, uncertainty, does it cause stress?
Yes.
Yes.
Change, does it cause stress?
Yes.
Yes.
Impermanent, does it cause stress?
Definitely.
Yes, definitely.
Perishing, does it cause stress?
Yes.
Death, for example. The very thought of my death gives me stress. Or the thought of death of my friends and family gives me stress. A lot of people say, right? Now, if you deeply analyze the objects and beings of the world, I couldn't hear. Somebody's trying to say something? Is someone trying to say something?
Nupur, your voice is not audible.
Loved.
No, I can't hear. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, Guruji, I guess there's some issue with the mic.
Sir, you
So
please
what-
continue, sir.
Okay. So uncertainty, changing, impermanent, perishing. This is the world. Can you change this world from being uncertain to certain, changing to changeless, impermanent to permanent, perishing to imperishable? Can you change the world?
No.
Huh? Yes or no?
No.
No, you cannot change the world. So that is fixed, constant. So world means constantly changing. Uncertainty is the only constant factor. So then what is giving me stress when I say uncertainty is stressing me? When you said just now, uncertainty is giving me stress, changing aspect is giving me stress, impermanence is giving me stress, perishable aspect is giving me stress, and I cannot change any of them. If I cannot change any of them, then what is giving me stress?
Change of comfort zone.
My wanting to or my expectation for the world to be certain. My expectation for the world to be unchanging, permanent, changeless, imperishable. So instead of accepting the world as it is and accordingly bringing about the change in me, I am blaming the world. There is no point blaming the world. World can not only give you stress, world can not only not give you stress, world can not also give you happiness. Objects and beings of the world are incapable of giving us stress or incapable of giving us happiness. It is how we relate with it. Please understand this. If you relate with the world thinking that I can change the world, not possible. You cannot change the world. You cannot make the world, uncertain world, become certain. Impossible. So therefore, what we need to understand is, it is not uncertainty that is giving me stress. It is my non-acceptance of uncertainty and my expectation for the uncertain to be certain. These kind of factors are giving me stress. Therefore, in Vedanta we say, stress is not external, it is internal. The cause of stress is internal. Our inability to deal with the outside stimuli or challenge or our perception or belief. See, I'll explain to you. When there is a challenge, a particular challenge is given to two people in your organization, A and B. A has the capacity to deal with the challenge. Will he be stressed? Huh? Will he be stressed?
No.
No, no.
He has no capacity to deal with the stress. Will he be stressed?
Yes.
Yes. So, is the challenge giving them stress or the lack of capacity giving them stress?
Lack of capacity.
That's it. So, first of all, if I want to really do something with stress, I should change this understanding in me. Because today I keep blaming my wife, my husband, my children, my friends, my boss, my company, my policies, my this thing, my country, my politicians. We blame everybody except ourselves. So, first thing, if you really want to deal with stress, you need to first understand it is internal and not external. My inability to deal with the outside stimuli. One more example I'll give you. This third point I'm going to explain to you. I already explained to you the second point. The third point, which I've written as perception or belief. So a challenge is being presented to a person A and person B. I said the person A has ability to deal with stress, so he will not be stressed. The person B lacks ability to deal with stress, but will be stressed because of a lacking ability. We discuss this. Now my question is, supposing person A actually lacks ability to deal with stress, actually, but he believes he has the capacity to deal with stress. Will he be stressed?
No.
Huh?
No. No.
So, not only our inability to deal with our ability or inability, our perception of our ability and inability also matters a lot. Are you getting it? Our perception about ourselves, how I can deal with it or not deal with it. So therefore, ability, inability is in me, not in the world. If the world is giving stress, it should give stress to everybody. If the world is giving happiness, it should give happiness to everybody. But world is not giving stress to everybody. World is not giving happiness to everybody. So world is not the reason for your stress or happiness. It is how you relate with it. First point we need to understand. Then what will I have to do? I'll have to start working upon myself. Are you getting it? All of you. So therefore, I need to understand about myself a little bit more. Unfortunately, what happens is, in the schools and colleges, they gave the knowledge of the world. That also not from this angle that we are discussing. Physics, chemistry, biology, maths, and all that you have studied, the logic, everything you have done. But not everyone had the opportunity to study about their human personality. So therefore, first thing I need to understand is about myself. So what is the human composition? What is the human composition? That is something that we need to study. And when you study the human composition, a human being is made up of physical body, mind, intellect. Now, the same thing can be put in a detailed manner, which is what I've given in the screen there. It's called food sheath. Food sheath in Sanskrit means Annamaya Kosha. This physical body is called food sheath or Annamaya Kosha. Food sheath means what? This body is first of all produced by the food digested by our parents. Number two, this body is sustained by the food digested by us. And this body is also food for other species. Correct or not? These 3 points you understand? This body is produced by the food digested by our parents. This body is survived, sustained by the food we consume. And this body is also food for other species. Bacteria and germs, feed on our body. This is the physical body. Then, when you go further, the next layer is called vital air sheath or pranamaya kosha in Sanskrit. The prana, they talk about 5 pranas: prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana. Physiological functions: inhalation, exhalation, circulation, absorption, digestion, etc. These physiological functions are called vital air sheath. Then comes mental sheath. What sheath? Mental sheath. Mental sheath is what? Mind sheath. The layer of the mind, emotions, feelings. That is mental sheath. Then, when you go further, there is another sheath called intellectual sheath. The ability to think, reason, judge. When you go further down, it's called bliss sheath. So, mental sheath is called manomaya kosha in Sanskrit. Intellectual sheath is called as vijnanamaya kosha in Sanskrit. And bliss sheath is called anandamaya kosha in Sanskrit. The anandamaya kosha is called vasana sheath or residual impressions sheath. Each one of us have a particular tendency, nature, temperament. All these are coming from that impressions. Somebody is interested in dancing, singing, or playing sports, talking, studying, etc. Each one is different. And that is called their vasanas, their nature, their fragrance. And that is the last layer covering our true self. So our true self, in Sanskrit called as Atma, is covered by these 5 sheaths. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. The annamaya kosha, which is food sheath, and the gross aspect of the vital air sheath put together is our body. The subtle aspect of the vital air sheath and the manomaya kosha put together is our mind sheath. Then intellectual sheath is the thinking faculty. So body, mind, intellect, plus our true self called Atma. So who is this human being? This human being is none other than body plus mind plus intellect plus self. Okay. So this whole thing put together is you, me, and all of us. So Mr. X, who is this? BMI plus S. BMI plus S is Mr. X. Mr. Y is again BMI plus S. Like that, all of us are nothing but body, mind, intellect plus Atma, self. This combination is called as you, me, all of us. When we are interacting with each other, we have given ourselves an identity, an address, that is our name. So if in this class, if we say hello, then all of you will say hello. If I say Solomon, then he'll say yes, sir. Isn't it? So it is an address. His name is address for BMI complex. The body, mind, intellect complex is given an address, and that address is our name. So this body, mind, intellect complex is reacting with the world, and world is in a constant flux of change. So when there is a situation which is comfortable for us, it doesn't give us stress. But when the situation changes, because that's the nature of the world, then we are thrown out of comfort zone. When we are thrown out of comfort zone, what happens? That gives us stress. And then to deal with the stress, our body prepares and we start dealing with it. If we have the ability to deal, we don't get into distress. If we do not have the ability, then we fall into distress. So, like that in life, if in more situations we are in distress. Now, there is one more thing happens. When you confront a situation which is giving you distress, then the situation changes. Are you with me? Then the situation changes. Do you become better or not? Do you become better or not? The situation changes to give you comfort zone. Does it give you stress? No. Correct? It becomes better. But in your mind, there is something happening. What? What if such a situation again comes back? Thinking that you can fall into stress. Am I right? Am I right or not?
Yes, yes.
So what I'm trying to say is, world is in a constant flux of change. The body mind intellect complex person is the one who is dealing with it. And when it is giving comfort, he is not into stress. When the things change, he's put into stress. When he's put into stress because of the change, if he has the ability to deal with it, he doesn't fall into distress. If he doesn't have the ability to deal with it, he falls into distress. And when the situation changes and the distress goes away, again comfort zone he falls into, he is feeling fine, but in his mind he is concerned. What if such a distress situation comes again? What if corona comes again? Thinking that he may fall into stress. So there are people who constantly keep on worrying about what happened in the past, and they get anxiety, they become anxious about what if such a situation repeats again, and they go through chronic stress. Are you with me? This is the problem. In the case of animal, what happens is, when there is a tiger confronting a deer. Now what happens, like I said, there's a challenge. Happily, the deer was sitting. The comfort zone is disturbed by the tiger coming. The moment the comfort zone is disturbed, for survival, in the deer's body, chemicals start secreting cortisol, adrenaline. Then the deer starts running away from the tiger. And when the tiger chases the deer, and the tiger is not successful, deer escaped. After some time, the tiger says, I don't want to follow this deer anymore because I may lose all my energy. Let me conserve it to get another weaker deer. So it keeps quiet. The deer escaped from the tiger. Now, in the animal mechanism, the prefrontal cortex is not that strong. So therefore, what happens is, after it is successfully escaped from the tiger, it doesn't think about the situation that gave it stress. So happily it is able to sit down. But in the case of a human being, what happens is, the prefrontal cortex is much more developed, but it is not strong in many. So what happens is, we start ruminating over the past situation and start getting stressed. We constantly soak our personality in stress, then we get into a lot of trouble. This is what is happening. Is that okay? So today's session, I will stop here. This much is enough for today when we talk about stress. So next week, I don't know, I have told Taruna, if possible, we can meet again on 20th. 20th is a Tuesday. Next week, Wednesday, I'm busy with some other session. So if it's convenient to all of you, next week, when Tuesday, we'll meet and I'll go a little deeper. But first, I want you to understand what is stress. And if you understand it is good for you, but because of your inability, you are getting into distress, and that causes these kind of affectations, and you begin to understand your human personality, then we'll see at material level, physical level, emotional level, intellectual level, how you need to deal with the stress. Those kind of things I talk about it in the next class. But today, this much I wanted to say so that you understand this. Main thing you need to understand is stress is not external, it is internal. It is within me. I need to develop my ability. Is that okay? So I'll stop here. If you have any questions from what we discussed, please ask.
Thank you, Swamiji. So, everyone, the forum is open for questions. So you can put forward, unmute yourself and put forward your questions to Swamiji.
Does anyone have any question?
Yes, Swamiji, I have. Actually, you said that mind, body, and intellect and self. So, like all these things are like indicating a human being. So, can how we are differentiating the like, because mind is everything. If your mind is controlled, then I think the stress will also be controlled.
Exactly.
So how you are like differentiating all such things, body is doing like which mind is saying, and everything is in mind, like intellect is also a part of the mind. Like if we have something in mind, like we do stress. uh, so I just want to know, like what is the like differentiation in all such things, like if like whether we are focusing on controlling the mind, which can control everything, like the stress, distress, everything. So like what you suggest us to focus on, like is the body or mind?
It is intellect. You need to develop your intellect. I'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
If you develop the intellect, you'll be able to control stress. You need to develop intellect. But I'm not just going to talk about developing intellect next week. I'm also going to talk about other aspects. What you can do at the body level itself, right? What you can do at the mind level. So I will talk about all those things. See, body, mind, intellect is the equipment all of us have. But it's like, you have a knife. Everybody has a knife. One fellow uses the knife to save somebody's life. Another fellow uses the knife to murder somebody. Another fellow uses the knife to kill himself. Knife is same, right? You should know how to use it. That I'll talk next week. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swamiji, I have a question. Is there a method to delegate stress?
See, you cannot delegate stress. You can only delegate action, work, right? Supposing there is a challenge confronting a team, your team. Your team, supposing you're part of a team, and there is a challenge put to the team. For example, all of you put together, let's say 7 people are there in your team. All 7 of you put together have to coordinate and achieve a certain target. That's the challenge. So you can delegate amongst yourself, this you do, I will do this, the other person does this, like that you can delegate. But if you say, can I delegate my stress, meaning I am agitated, can I give the agitation to somebody so that I will become free? How can you do that? You cannot do that. You cannot pass on your agitation to somebody. If that is what you are asking. If that is, are you asking that, Mr. Mohanty?
Yeah, I thought.
How can you pass on your agitation to somebody else? How can
I'm
you pass on
saying
your happiness to me?
to get relief from my stress, I'll make somebody in distress. So is the or I can block
Listen.
the stress coming to me.
Listen,
Like
listen.
see, there could be some meditation or some kind of thing where I can.
Sir,
I
you have to do meditation. You can't tell your friend to do meditation so that your stress becomes free. You cannot pass on your stress to anybody else. You cannot pass on your happiness to anybody else. Are you with me? Happiness and stress is a mental state. You are mentally affected. That is called stress. How can you pass on your mental affectation to somebody else? What you can probably do is when you are mentally affected, you will do things which, if that fellow also lacks ability to deal with it, he may get stressed. But that doesn't make you stress free. Are you understanding? Sir,
yeah.
I am agitated, I'm getting angry. Out of my anger, I'm shouting at you. I make you also get agitated. But having made you get agitated doesn't mean that I become free from anger. So your question is, how can I delegate my stress to somebody? You cannot delegate your stress to anybody else.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Got it? Are there any other questions? Does anyone else have any question, please? Okay, as there are no questions, we'll stop here. Think about what I said. Without a further too much of a gap, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, let us have the second session. So I would request Taruna and Vidhi to coordinate and organize the next session as soon as possible. So
Sure,
that
Swamiji.
we get on with the topic, so that we can go into little more details of stress management. Is that okay?
Sure, Swamiji. We'll keep the next session very soon. So also everyone, if you have any real-time situations which are related to stress and which probably you want to, have some insights upon, you can drop me and Taruna a mail with the situation, and we can share the same with Swamiji so that he can discuss with us in his next session, which we are gonna conduct very soon. So you can drop me and Taruna the email for this for any of the questions.
So basically, what Vidhi is telling is to give that stressors. It's called stressors. Stressors means what is giving you stress. For some people, traffic. Some people say, the historical nature of the husband, or the nagging nature of the wife, or the historical nature of the boss. Something or the other is giving me stress. So, like that, if you give your stress situation, we can take it up and discuss in some of our next sessions. So, kindly send those things to Vidhi or Taruna, and then they will send it to me, then I will take it up. And also, in Vedanta Institute Delhi, we have started a YouTube channel called Vedanta Rishi Rina. I've told Taruna to share it with all of you. I don't know if she already shared it. If not, she'll share it to you again. Vedanta Rishi Rina is the channel name. So kindly subscribe to that channel, so that you'll constantly get some videos or the other that we keep uploading, which will be very helpful for you. Okay? Thank you very much. We'll meet next time.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you very much for sharing your insights and wisdom over the topic stress management. So, in today's session, this session has taught us how to cope up with the stress and, of course, help us come out with the difficult situations. So, Swamiji, once again, thank you very much. We are looking forward to, come up with the next part of this topic in coming days. We'll discuss upon the days. Thank you once again, Swamiji, and to all the members who have joined us. Thank you very much for your active participation. We are very sure and confident that today's session would have helped you in managing the stress effectively in your personal and, of course, the professional life. So very soon we'll be sharing the details of next session and the dates for which would be blocked accordingly. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.